Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Why do good players, why do some pro players use 17 gauge strings when they know that it's just going to break so fast? Stay tuned. All right, so I have a bunch of string here. I have different gauges. Now, there's been kind of a trend lately with especially my stringing that good players, like Daniel Wynn, maybe yourself, you're using 17 gauge strings. So you got 1, 2, 5 going on. Now, depending upon the maker, they're gonna designate 1, 2, 5 as either 17 gauge or 16L. Now, Solinco goes 130 for 16. 1.30 millimeters if anybody's really asking. And they go 16L at 125. Now, in RPM and some of the other companies, 125 is considered 17. Okay, just like this Turna. And then it goes down to what Solinco deems as 17 as 120. In my mind, 120 is kind of like borderline 18. It's kind of like a 17 light to me. And that tells me that it's going to break pretty quickly. They even have, well, most companies still do, have an 18 gauge, 1.15 millimeters.
Whoa.
Usually that's, thin. You know if you put this on, that you're going to probably get a little spin or a little more spin.
And then it's going to break.
Okay? Now, that's 18. I've used 18 before, and it's lasted me 4 hours in the confidential. But there is 19.
Whoa.
1.10 that I have here in the tour bite. I usually put this in kids' rackets, like the 12 or 13-year-old that's kind of ready. I usually blend this. I put it in on the main, and then I put the synthetic on the cross as their first feel and taste of a poly. And it usually works out pretty well. Usually you don't hurt your arm with that. They even make a 20 gauge.
What do they use that for? You?
Usually it's like a badminton string. And that's like...
It's like dental floss.
I think it's like 1.0 or 0.98. It's like under a millimeter.
Whoa.
So it's real thin.
How much is that string, though?
How much of it?
How much in terms of dollars? Is it also more expensive?
No, it's just the same. It's the
Wow.
same. It's less string, though, right?
Yeah, that's
less
true.
String.
But
it's saving money.
Yes, you are.
Right? But here's the thing, though. With all these gauges... Right? Why is 125 the most popular? Daniel Wynn, who was on the tour, actually goes 17 gauge, which is 120. Now, you're one of those people that go 125 when you could easily go 130 and buy yourself a little extra time.
Yeah.
Why do you go thinner?
I think it really depends on what kind of player you are. If you're a big aggressive baseliner or someone who likes to serve volley, or hits, pretty big shots in general, then maybe you'd want a thicker string to keep, the strings from breaking. Or maybe you're also wanting a bit of feel too as well to your string. So maybe you kind of mess around and you find what string gauge you can best get, so that way you can still utilize the longest time on the racket, if that makes sense. So you want to
the comfort level.
Yeah, the racket. Or if you're on a budget, then you could also find a string that might give you, right, the longevity on the racket itself. So there's many factors, but I think 17, for me at least, I've been getting a lot of use. I don't bring that many strings when I'm using this particular 17 gauge. So I feel that definitely the string is getting a lot looser. But for me, I actually prefer a looser string bed to get a bit more power, especially when I'm still playing on the tour. So that extra power versus control, I would rather have a bit more power. And I can definitely feel like, some strings, although they are thinner, they don't last that long. They pop easily. Mm-hmm. But if I have a in between, 17 gauge, 1.25, I know what I'm gonna get relatively, and I think that's the best bang for my buck type thing too.
So a lot of people who do that, I've actually been questioning it. I was like, so you get, maybe not you, but the people out there that I've strung for, I was like, why do you use this thin gauge when you know you're going to see me in 2 hours? They're like, I'd rather sacrifice the playability for the durability. So it's kind of like what you just said. It's like I'm used to a 17 gauge's feel. I'm used to the snapback, and I'm used to, the pocketing, the overall kind of predictability of the thinner gauge, fully knowing that it is going to break at the 2 hour mark. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, when you go into a 16 gauge, just like what you said, it's going to buy you time. How much longer will it buy you? And how much of it would deteriorate your game?
Well, 16 gauge, again, so if you're a big hitter and hit the ball quite flat, I would say your strings are going to also lose tension pretty quickly. So if you're going to go for a 16 gauge and if you know you're going to break strings quite quickly, it's better to get the thicker strings, so that way they're going to break regardless if you use an 18 or 17 gauge, mm-hmm. something that's thinner. Again, just to make sure that you are able to keep the longevity of the strings on your racket, but then also maximize it at the time of it on it there. So,
yeah.
So
it's just like a lot of people who go 125 versus 130, the time in between may not be long enough for them to care. If mm-hmm. you're going to break this in 2 hours, how much longer is it going to take for you to break the 16?
Hour and a half. You never know.
Hour and a half more?
Hour and a half more?
Or 30 minutes more?
Yeah, you never, exactly. So it's like,
so but then might as well maximize your play versus maximize your string.
Yeah. But, then it comes down to hybrids string too as well, right? People string mains and crosses differently. So, right, power hitters break the mains more than the crosses probably more spin.
Right.
So
that's the other thing we could do. We could mix gauges.
Yeah.
Right? If you go 17 on the main, 125, mm-hmm. go 130 on that cross, mm-hmm. you'll still feel that main a little bit, mm-hmm. and then it won't slide off that cross so quickly to break. Mm-hmm. So if you mix gauges, that's probably a good option given you like the feel.
Yeah.
So I know people that do that. They go the opposite though. They go thicker on the main, knowing full well they're going to break the main to get the feel off of that cross. Mm-hmm. But to maximize spin and feel, you go thinner. hopefully buying yourself maybe half an hour,
Yeah.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's about all you can do. Are you guys one of those people? I mean, I know like 4-0 players, 3-5 players who don't even play with poly, literally coming in and getting 17 gauge multis.
Yeah.
You know, knowing full well that they are going to get a string job in that 10 to 12 hour period.
Yep.
And I've told them, I was like, don't you want 16? They're like, no. I've been playing with 17 all my life, and I know that I will get maybe a month or less out of this string job, and by then I am fine with it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like people are sacrificing durability for playability these days.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
So, but it's an interesting thing though, because in my mind, I think, well, go 16, buy yourself some time. But everybody wants to spin, feel, and in their mind play well.
It's nice though, but again, for me, like I can kind of get around it a bit more, meaning I know what I'm getting out of with the strings that I get. I would ideally have, I would like to play around with maybe some hybrid strings, but
as long as it works right now.
As long as it works, and I know, right, again, since I string my own rackets, I know, right, if you break it, the effort you need to do to string it again.
Well, that's the other thing. If you're stringing once a month and you're a 3-5-4-0 player with a synthetic, I'm sure most people are okay with that. Now, if you're like breaking these 3 times a week, mm-hmm. and if you're not stringing yourself, mm-hmm. then at some point you're going to have to go thicker.
Yes, because again, you're going to string all those rackets. If you break 2 rackets a day, it's going to be a tough.
And then you'll have to learn how to string.
Then you have to learn how to string.
You can't just hand it off to me.
You can't just give it to him.
All right, so do you guys do that? Let me know in the comments. Do you sacrifice playability for durability? Or do you sacrifice durability for playability, I should say? But let us know, okay? Coach Chris, thank you for telling us, your preferences in the thinner string and why. Mm-hmm. Where can they find you?
You can find me at CB Chen Tennis.
And
that's
it. All right, guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Oh!
Great job, Harry.
I got you, Rob, buddy. Look, I got you, Rob. Oh, man. I got you, Rob. I got you, Rob. Thank you for the weekly lesson, dude.
Harry, back up. Again.
Oh. I got you, Rob. I got you, Rob. I got you, Rob. Now, if you want a patient pro just like Coach Rob, hey, Play Your Court is the place. Your pro can come to you, right? They can come out to your site. All you need to do is go to playyourcourt.com. You can even get a discount there. playyourcourt.com/tennis spin.
Harry, are you sure you're right-handed?